G'day everybody, welcome to my first YouTube post. Today we're going to be looking at the build of these stormtrooper, Mandalorian inspired Revenant stormtrooper heads that are stuck onto pencils. They're pencil toppers. There's a thrown in biker scout one as well. The heads were cast from a 6-inch Hasbro figure, just a regular stormtrooper and a biker scout. Pulled the heads off, made a silicone mould and then cast them all. This is for a diorama, or 2 dioramas. I'm doing a duplicate set of dioramas for myself and for a friend, and so this is just putting the damage in. So I have pictures that I've nicked off the internet. I've printed out, got as many as I could find from different angles to try and work out how many poles there are. And so this is the damage that we're doing, is this damage here that we're pointing out. So this is the most prominent one. It's the one that features in most of the trailers and things, so that's the helmet that I decided to duplicate for the pencil toppers. But the diorama, because it has multiple different heads on it, it's also got multiple different types of damage. So you can see I've used the Dremel to Dremel the cut in, and then made it a bit sharper with the knife, being very careful not to take my fingers off or stab myself or Dremel into my hands using such a small working on such a small piece. So comparing them out, and that's 2 of them done. Then I did the same type for the pencil toppers, discovered that hadn't made enough fabric green stuff flags, so this is just making it. I also filled in the inside of the helmet so that when we drill, the pencil will be as tight as it can be. A little bit of water on it, and then some fly screen, which you roll into the green stuff, and that gives us the pattern for the fabric. Cut the edges off and then start putting little nicks in the bottom, so a bit more water on it just to make it slip. I cut nicks in the bottom and separate them with the knife blade, and then a few in the sides and just pull them out. I find it's more natural when you drag down on the bottom. If it breaks off, I don't care, I just put those bits aside for later. And once you've got it as much as you cut up as you might, looking a bit raggedy and scraggly, just put it on the pencil to get the basic shape and flatten it out a little bit. So there's the diorama ones that get separated, and the pencil topper ones, the only difference is they're a little bit more rounded because they're going to fit to the shape of the pencil. So once I'd done those ones, I had a little bit of green stuff left, which is what inspired me to do the flaggy type one for a biker scout helmet. So I'm only showing you the build of that one because it's a different shape, so it's a bit more like a pennant. Put it around the stick and then make it a little bit more like it's waving in the wind. And then because of that, I had to do different damage on the biker scout. There's no reference for this one, so I just did what I thought was nice. He's got a drill through his eye, so it looks like he got shot with a laser, and then a bit of a split as they were trying to get the helmet on the pike. So same process, Dremel a bit, drill a bit, cut a bit, just get it looking basically ruined. So now that they're all done and all the things have been built, we drill a hole in the bottom of the pencil, drill a hole for the bottom, through the bottom of the pencil. Then I've got the bit of dowel that's going to be the pike coming out the top. Cut it to length, just sharpen the ends a little bit, but make sure, I actually did push it into my hand to make sure I couldn't stab myself with it. So I dare say if you hit it hard you would, but so here you are, this is just comparing, having a bit of a rough put together on the first one to see how it looks, and it's come out pretty good. I wish my skills at finding the lens on the camera are better. I guess they'll improve. So there you go, picture of the one we're trying to add and get to, and the helmet done that way. And now it's on to all the others. So away we go. Drill, drill, drill. Stick, 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 glue, glue, glue. So once all the big holes are drilled for the pencil, the pencil is actually 7mm wide, but I only had an 8mm drill. I had a 6mm drill, the pencil didn't fit at all. I had an 8mm drill that fit the pencil. So I went as deep as I could. When you're doing the little hole for the dowel, I found it's come through the hole I'd already drilled. Because I hadn't drilled all the way through, the point of the drill had made a rest in the bottom, or a place in the bottom that you can centre the drill, so that when you drill through for the dowel, it still sticks up at the same angle as the pencil went in. Then it's a matter of gluing the green stuff on the bottom, and there we have it. Not much different to the last slow moving one we did, except now that's glued in place and it won't come a cropper. So that's how it'll look on the pencil. Everything sits, and now do the rest of them. I will do the Biker Scout one here first, just to show you, because it was, oh no, there you go. These are the others, same process. Put the pike in, glue it in, stick it in, get it squared up, then put some glue on. I cut the ends of the green stuff so that it's square, even though when I made them they weren't, because inside the helmet the square fits better. It's a matter of enough super glue and then put some pressure on with a modelling tool just to get it in place. This one falls out, had to do it twice. So you've got to hold it there for a bit, get it done, sort it out. Once the glue gets in there and gets it good, that was good. No problems after that. Not through painting or anything, they've all stuck well. So there we go. That's done. That's done. All the pencils in place and we're up to painting. Personally, I went with just a flat white spray can. It's a basic spray can. It's nothing special. It's just one of the local ones that we can get. In Australia, I use the Squirts brand, which is made by White Knight. I was going to just spray them all in the box, but putting them in the pencil didn't work, so I just poked them through the box. Unfortunately, the battery ran out on my camera and I didn't realise just after doing this, so you don't see the rest of the undercoating, but trust me, it's undercoated. I've stuck a picture here. There you go. They all got undercoated. And next it's up to doing the fabric colour. So that was a bit of scarlet red, followed by some black in there just to make the overall bloody sort of rag colour that's in all the stills from the Mandalorian. And then just paint it on. Occasionally I had to stick my hand under the end of it to stop it bending, because it is quite thin, being the fabric-y waving in the wind thing. But as a general rule, it held up. So then it was just same thing for the Biker Scout one. Just again, because it's a different shape, I've spent a bit of time. I just haven't sped the video up as much for it. It was a bit tricky. I had to support this, like you can see, because it was longer and thinner. So a bit of paint on my fingers, but I tried not to take anything off the model itself after I painted it. I did think I was going to do 2 coats because it was red, but when I realised that the wash was going to be going to fill it in, once it dried, I thought I didn't really require a second coat of that one, which was handy because there's 6 of them. So the total time for all of this build, with all the dremeling and all of the cutting and then all of the fastening and all of the gluing and the painting, was around about 3 hours. So as you can tell from the speed of it all, it's super speedy. I didn't know whether anybody needs to see it in real time. If you do, please leave lots of comments to say slow it down, it's too fast for us. But I'm just assuming that everybody has a skill level similar. I went with a colour called Urshan Grey, which is a Citadel Warhammer paint colour rather than black, because to start with I was just going to do the eyes, because in the picture the helmets are quite dusty, so the black has got dirt on it, it looks dusty. The Urshan Grey is actually, it does go quite dark as far as greys go, and so when I started doing it and saw it drying, I went, oh, I don't think I need to use black at all. So there followed doing all of the rest of the painting in there. I wasn't sure how much to do, so I went and grabbed one of my Hasbro painted figures and used that as reference to work out all the things that I was going to paint on the helmet in comparison. Because it's a pencil topper, just to go on the top of the pencil, I wasn't particularly worried about initially about how much I was going to do, and I thought there was enough detail at the front that I didn't bother doing those 2 little black squares on the back. Later, when I did the Biker Scout, I actually did those 2 little squares because the Biker Scout doesn't have as much detail on the front. I thought it made it more interesting, but I didn't think it was necessary, especially once the wash went on. The things at the back got defined anyway. Hardest bit is doing that straight line around the top of the helmet, just rolling them around to do that. I made some mistakes and rubbed some things off with my finger, but again, when I put the wash on at the end, it made me look a whole lot better than I am. and it covered a multitude of mistakes. So more power to anyone that manages to cover up all of their mistakes. So this is the first one sort of finished. That's it, with the black done. There will be some red go into that scratch because I do, with the red watered down a little bit of brown added to it. So the brown that I use for painting the pikes when it comes, I added to some of the red that I had from the fabric and thinned it heaps with some water so that I could try and get it a little bit more translucent and to make it look a bit more like blood running down the helmets, and did that over the top of the grey in all of the cuts. That's the Biker Scout. He's getting these two little bits on the back, like I said, because he's not as doesn't have as much detail as the stormtrooper helmets, and I thought it looked better for it. So there you go, that's that done, and away we go with the rest of them. Speedy. I'm not sure how much commentary to put in for you all. I have no music in this first one because I didn't want to muck around with copyright things. The initial soundtrack that's on the front with the little fun animation that I did is using some elements from GarageBand, which is in the Apple computers, and some from a website called Zapsplat, which has a whole lot of free to use sound files, and you can sign up and use the sound files to get your thing. If you pay, I suspect there are more, and then the link's in the description below if you want to just click onto that to go and find it. So here it is with the red in the scratch as well, and sort of making it look a little bit bloody. And the next step after doing all of those ones is to do the wash. So I'm just doing a bit more of the this is the brownie colour, so it's Rhino Hide, it's called, from Citadel Games Workshop again. It's just a really dark brown. You use it for leather and stuff. So I did the pikes on those, and there's no real way to hold these once you've done everything, so I tried putting them on spare brushes that are in my brush holder, but they all fell down, and in the end I just decided easiest was to stick them in the corners of the box, or in the case of the Biker Scout, just put it on the ground. So here's his pike getting done. It's a fairly easy paint job actually. This was one where I was surprised. I didn't have to change brushes. I was just using a character brush, not even a detail one. I don't think I used a fine detail on anything actually. I've got them there, but those two white ones that are sitting there are duds. They've been used and their hairs are broken and split on them, and I just have them for doing washes and other carry-on. So occasionally you will see a black streak racing past underneath me. That is Scarlet the Wonder Dog. So there you go, there's the Biker Scout. So he's just got all of his pike done. It's the Stormtrooper once his pike's done and his blood's in place. And then this is the wash. So this is homemade wash that I got the recipe from Luke's Apps. So if you watch that other YouTube channel, he's got a recipe for making a wash. I had to go with Seraphim Sepia by Citadel, thinking that the brown might be better. I didn't like the build. So one of them's got a little bit of that, but not much. I find that this blacky sort of one, so there you go, gives it all dirty sort of a look, brings out all the detail in the fabric, and away we go for the next ones. Personally, I put tons on and dab it off. If I need to do it more than once, I do it more than once. Because this is a homemade wash, there's tons of it. So I tend to be quite liberal with the application of it. For the fabric, I tried to put a little bit more up the top to indicate the shadow, and I did dab it off down the bottom a little bit and then reapply it if I needed to. For the stormtrooper faces, I wanted to get a lot in the detail, especially on those little notches that are along the side, because I didn't paint them. I left it to the wash to define those areas. But I didn't want the dirt everywhere. I still needed the white to show through, so there was a couple of applications, dabbing it off and then adding it extra where I thought it needed it, and better at it. I got better at it as I went along. Still keeping track of the two that belonged to my daughter so that I didn't muck up her sculpts. And there we go. So yep, just more detail. Still doing all of these ones, and I don't want to leave you in silence, but I don't want to be rabbiting on for no good reason. So finish that. Here's a couple of stills of them as they're drying with their wash on. And then it's up to putting them on their pencils. So I just drilled a mount here just to stick them on to have a look at, so that I could photograph them a bit better. So you've got the pencils going on. So I zoom in now. All done, ready to go. So thank you for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed the sort of tutorial. I've had a lot of fun doing this, and I'm really inspired to do the diorama build, which I'll endeavour to video and get out sometime soon. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, view it, leave a comment. I do actually have a RedBubble page. If you want to, the link's below. You can go and have a look at some of the other stuff that I designed. And not much Star Wars stuff there though, because Disney's pretty savage about that. And thank you very much for watching. Have a really, really fun day.